What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Nerdlocker podcast. My name is Brandon.
I'm Patrick.
And I'm Jimmy.
And this week's episode is all about sequels. Apparently, we have a few coming out this year.
That we do, Brandon. I compiled a list. Now, these are all slated to come out in 2017. They may get shifted around, whatever, but this so far, here's the list. We have Logan starting this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Alien Covenant, Pirates 5, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, Star Wars The Last Jedi, Trainspotting 2, Transformers 5, Cars 3, Despicable Me 3, Amityville The Awakening, War of the Planet of the Apes, an Inconvenient Truth sequel, Truth to Power, Annabelle 2, Kingsman The Golden Circle, Blade Runner 2049, Insidious Chapter 4, Cloverfield 2017, Saw Legacy, Creed 2, Thor 3, A Bad Mom's Christmas, Daddy's Home 2, Pitch Perfect 3, Super Troopers 2, Smurfs The Lost Village, Nut Job 2, Nutty by Nature, Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul, Untitled Blumhouse Horror Project 2, and that's not to mention Underworld Blood Wars and John Wick 2.
There's another... Hold on, that was so much. There's another Underworld?
That already came out in January.
Oh, okay.
That's right.
Holy shit.
And I guarantee I missed at least one.
Yeah, like
That's-
it matters. It is just,
Jesus Christ, man. That is...
this is I don't know. This is like
That's so much. Wait, did we say Fate of the Furious?
Oh, you forgot about that one. Isn't that new?
I just typed in 2017 movies. We got another Fast and the Furious movie.
Fast and Furious, the one with Charlize Theron.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I didn't know that was this year.
And then I guess 50 Shades Darker counts.
Oh, my God, it does. See? I told you.
Triple X again.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that one can.
This is so stupid.
Okay, so what makes a good sequel? Like, what exactly warrants a sequel? You know, that's...
Don't know, because Suicide Squad is getting a sequel.
Academy Award winning.
Oh, fuck. I was sitting there watching it, and I was like, God damn it. I can't believe this got nominated. Then they said it, and I was like, I'll just go fuck myself. Bye.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
I actually went and watched it again, just because it won an Oscar, and I was like, how in God's name did this thing win an Oscar? I mean, Killer Croc was so horrible that
He looked so bad. Here's the other thing, is like, don't get me wrong, like, I understand it takes talent to do all of these special effects side of movies, and obviously there was some stuff in there that, you know, was cool looking, but like, you compare the Joker's makeup to like a full-fledged alien from Star Trek that was also up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, I don't know.
So, what exactly warrants a good sequel, though? I mean, we have so many good sequels that are coming out. I mean, the list was, first of all, outrageous. I mean, but there are some good ones in there. Like, I mean, John Wick 2. I still haven't seen it, but it's on my list. I mean,
It's getting rave reviews.
Yeah, it's getting awesome reviews. And then you've got like Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Holy balls, that thing looks good.
How great does that trailer look? Like,
Yeah.
You know, like it's funny because Marvel always does a great job with, you know, getting you hyped up on the movies, and you kind of know the pattern that Marvel's going to follow, right? The Marvel Cinematic Universe does 3 movies and then they're out. Knowing that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was coming, I was excited already, but when I saw the trailer, I was damn near giddy with you know, the excitement.
oh, I was like, even like past everything I saw, the fact that we're getting another soundtrack, I'm just like,
Right.
fuck. And then they end it with Kurt Russell. Like,
Right.
holy shit, man.
I'm happy they didn't do the ego thing, because I was like, oh, Kurt Russell's going to be a fucking planet. This is going to be horrible. But they had him as Kurt Russell, and I'm like, yes, thank God. I was really, really happy with that one.
Yeah.
And then you had Aliens Covenant, which I know you guys talked about before, but
I want to know how Jim feels about that trailer.
Brandon, I met with a friend of ours today. Patrick, your friend as well, Kelly.
Okay.
And
Oh, hey, Kelly.
Kelly and I talked a little bit about the trailer. He was with me in my darkest hour watching Prometheus at the preview screening.
Now that is, I think, why I'm so mad at you still, because you took that preview screening and you didn't even enjoy it.
Because I am such a fan of the Alien franchise.
Not Covenant though. You don't get to see that one. That's all me.
Don't worry, I don't want it. You can have it. But I feel like the thing with the trailers, I really enjoy the trailers. I have no problem with the trailers. I think Alien Covenant trailers are great. I also thought Prometheus trailers were fantastic. That first one was unbelievable. But that movie is a piece of crap. There is no good story.
Wrong.
It looks good. It's pretty. But that's a crappy movie.
Wrong.
Okay, so I will be the intermediary here for this one.
If you agree with me, you can be.
So I will agree with you on the part of the actual trailer looking great and the movie falling short of the trailer. But that's what trailers do, right? So you can't say that every movie trailer out there, the movie is just as good as the trailer. There's been very few of them that I've seen that I can recollect right now that have come close. But that's the job of a trailer, right? To get you hyped. But when it came to Prometheus, and this is all I'm going to say on this fucking subject because I'm so tired of hearing about Prometheus with you two, is that okay? The trailer did look good, the movie did fall short, and the fact that Covenant isn't exactly what I wanted to see in order to fill in the gaps between the two. That's the part that pisses me off about Covenant. It looks scary as shit. It looks great. It looks like it harkens back to the original Alien movie. But I kind of wanted to see, like, okay, where's Michael Fassbender's head besides the other one that's on this mission?
I agree with you. That's why I don't understand in the trailer. Maybe they explain this, and I hope it's not like a 5-minute prologue where it's like, okay, here's what happened. Ship blows up. Now we're into a news story. But where's Naomi Rapace and the Michael Fassbender we saw at the end of Prometheus?
Right.
Well, I assume that's going to be talked about because they find the ship in the new trailer.
Right. In the newest trailer, they do find the ship, or find
And
a
they do-
ship.
Yeah,
Well, we
well,
don't
they
know
do
if
talk
they know.
about like wheat being on the planet, so they might have crashed and done some shit. But I don't. I assume if we see them, it'll be in like the captain log, recordings on the
Right,
ship
right.
kind of thing.
That's quite
So
possible.
that's what I was thinking with it.
That's such a cheap cop out, though.
100%. I will agree with you that.
Boo.
Whatever. I am interested to see if that's like if Michael Fassbender's another the short film we both watched, or the short trailer, like the short story. It made it look like he was another robot, but I'm wondering if he's gonna be that again. So
I think so. I think he's just another android that's on.
because they do that with Alien and Aliens,
Mm-hmm.
or is it Aliens and Aliens 3?
Well, Aliens 3, they bring back Lance Henriksen, who was Bishop, but they bring back the actual scientist they based the
Gotcha.
android off of.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
you're right though. Alien and Aliens. That you're correct.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, I have hope for this. I'll let you guys know after I see the press screening because Jim's not going to that. But you were saying like what makes a good sequel, and I don't know, man. It's tough because you look at Batman Begins, which was a solid first Batman movie.
Right.
You look at The Dark Knight, which just blew everybody's fucking mind.
Right.
And then you get Dark Knight Rises, which a lot of people didn't love.
But I personally feel that was a great bookend to that franchise.
I agree with you.
Right.
I looking back on those movies, though, it's funny because like they're the best Batman movies to date. But, and I'm not saying Christian Bale is the worst Batman, like the worst actor, but when you look at like his abilities and his training, he's not the best Batman.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Like even in the third one, like when he goes to the doctor and it's Thomas Lennon, And he's like, you got no cartilage in your knee, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you were Batman for like 2 years. What happened?
Hey, it takes a toll on you.
I was like, shut up, young kid.
Yeah.
Everything hurts, and I'm only 28. So.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you ask the 40-year-old and the soon-to-be 40-year-old? It hurts, man.
Yeah, trust me, dude. Like 40. Let's put it this way: 4 years in the Marine Corps aged my body. Like, and this is statistically true as far as I know, because like docs would always say this. For every 1 year in the Marine Corps as a grunt, your body ages 7 years.
That sucks.
And I was not a Marine, but I know Patrick can relate to this. We wake up sore, like we sleep and we get sore.
Welcome to the Old Man Podcast.
Yes.
Well, I mean, it is, but I mean, as far as it goes for Batman, yeah, I could see that. If you're jumping off of buildings, rooftops, and all this other shit for 2 years, yeah, it would hurt you. But
that also goes along with a study I read not too long ago. I think maybe when the movies are coming out, if Batman really existed, like some dude did all the training and all that, they could perform at a peak rate like that for like 2 or 3 years, and that would be it.
So maybe he's the most realistic Batman.
Yeah,
That's
probably
what Christopher Nolan always tried to say, to base it on.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I back to the point though of it being a good sequel. Yeah, I think those movies were a good example of being a sequel. I think what makes a good sequel is the need to tell a story, to take the story one step further. And it's not so much like leaving loose ends or let's leave a cliffhanger. No, it's more of this is not done yet as an arc.
That's why I think one of the best examples on this list is War for the Planet of the Apes, because they keep finding that next story that is integral to tell, versus something like just about every horror film that leaves it open-ended. We're like, ooh, now we can bring the killer back and do it again.
Or even the first group of Planet of the Apes movies. Like, although they're fun, it definitely gets to a point where you're like, Jesus Christ, like...
Well, see, that's the beautiful thing about Planet of the Apes, though, is because we know where it ends.
Yeah.
You know exactly where this story is going, but we don't know what happened from point A to point Z. So, that's the great thing about Planet of the Apes. And to Jim's point, is like we get the first one, and then we get the second one. Now we're getting like, okay, how does it get to that point? Where does it get to the Charlton Heston point of damn you, damn dirty apes, all this other stuff? That's where we want to go. And with Planet of the Apes is an interesting one because it gives you an end. You already read the ending, so you know how it goes. Now you're reading that's a good prequel. I would consider that almost more so a prequel than a sequel, as opposed to 1 through 3.
So a lot of this is, I guess, coming about as far as just good storytelling is.
Yeah, I think it comes down to good storytelling.
I think there's also examples of sort of finding your way. Like I do not like the first Wolverine movie. I can't remember what it's called.
The Origins?
Yeah, I don't. The Origins one's horrible. I think the Wolverine was better, but not fantastic. And from what I'm hearing with Logan, it's really, really good. And the same could be said with the Fast and the Furious. The first one was okay. Second one, third one I've heard or I've seen. It was not great.
The third one was Tokyo Drift, correct?
Right. And then the fourth one through after that, it's like, holy crap, these movies are getting better as they go on. How is that possible?
Right.
A fun fact, I have not watched the Fast and the Furious movie since the first one. Like, I have no desire.
They are good, Brandon. I'm not.
All right. I'll check them out.
Not 2 and 3. You can skip 2 and 3.
Yeah, well, I remember I saw, like, the ending of 3. I think, like, Vin Diesel drives by somebody in a parking garage. And I was like, wow, this looks just as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah, 3 is horrible.
It's funny you bring up the X-Men, like, the other movies, because I feel like, they're finally finding their groove with Deadpool. And now if Logan's really good, it's like, cool, but it's the last movie you can do. Because everything else is so fucked up. And I just try to think, like, you look at the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. Like, we're coming up on the Avengers fighting Thanos. If you could have done a good X-Men franchise, think of, like, all the things you could have hit. Like, I mean, they have like you could have hit arcade, you could have gone to the Savage Land, you
Yeah,
could have done like
a better
a
apocalypse.
hundred things. Yeah, well, Apocalypse. Well, I have to
Yeah.
tell you though, the best part of that movie is Michael Fassbender as Magneto. I wish he was he. How people feel about Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, that's how I feel about Fassbender as Magneto. Like he's perfect.
I'll give you that, but I mean, what's the chick's name? Sophie, um, Phoenix, who played Jean Grey.
Oh, oh God, why am I
Yeah,
spacing? This is what happens when we record. We forget everything. Sophie Turner.
Sophie Turner. Okay, so I thought she was actually the breakout for me in that movie. Like I hated Apocalypse in that movie so much. I mean,
Oh, like the weird whisper talk the whole time?
yeah, the whisper talk. I mean, the pervy whisper talk, and like the overall like. I mean, Apocalypse. It's Apocalypse. I mean, for fuck's sakes, he was a big bad in the X-Men universe, and he
And
just
instead
came
he's like
off
a
it.
tiny little small man who like whispers. He goes from whisper to yelling.
Yeah, but he came off as a Power Rangers villain to me.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's what upset me more than anything. And you're right. If it wasn't such a forced storyline with X-Men, and they would have actually took the time to develop characters and develop a story and keep it to the point where we can actually move it along,
Yeah.
like say a Wolverine. As Wolverine started gaining momentum, as it looked like the studio started stepping back a little bit more, and
Yeah.
started getting less and less involved, and they just followed the script, we would have been good. X-Men, I guarantee you, X-Men would have been the biggest, Marvel franchise, if not, biggest movie franchise, if they would have stuck to the fucking script.
hundred
And,
percent. I mean, that's what Marvel does that I like is
Mhm.
they try to make the fans happy while still telling their own story. Like,
uh
Zack Snyder's like, I'm gonna do my version of the Justice League, and it's like,
no, dude,
no, we don't
no,
fucking want that. Like,
nobody wants that.
stop doing like even like the subtle things like Doctor Strange, like the
Oh,
doctor
yeah,
that he argues with in the hospital, the
yeah,
other male
yeah,
doctor.
yeah,
He's the bad guy in the Brian K. Vaughan series, The Oath. Like,
yeah.
so it's even like little things like that. They just throw them in there, but it's like talking about the X-Men, you look at X3 and even shows like Legion, and I'm looking at some of the casting for the Fox X-Men show. Like,
Mhm.
you're making up mutants.
Yeah,
You don't have to make up any mutants.
yeah.
There
There's
are
so many.
so many to choose from.
Right. Like why even do that to yourself? Why, feel that you have to do that? Like again, like when you talk about Legion was one of the ones. Even though this week's episode was
Oh, it
absolutely
was great.
bonkers. It was bonkers. FYI, side note, that is going to be the Shadow King. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Even though he looks like Mojo,
He looks
but
like Mojo, but it's going to be Shadow King because he called the dog King, and I'm like, fuck.
yeah, there we go.
I was like, it's going to be Shadow King. Any rate, um, but when you get these directors that are all consumed with the product to the point where they believe it's their creation when they forget, like, Stan Lee or Jack Kirby or whoever the creative people behind it were. It's theirs. It's not yours. It's theirs. And the
Yeah,
fans grew up with their version of telling the story, not yours. So I think that's the problem when you get into like the X universes and the DC universes. You get these egotistical directors who just believe that this is mine. This is my property now. No, dick. It's ours. It's ours, meaning that it's the comic book fans, property. It's the creators' property.
I think Marvel like respects that when they do their movies.
Oh,
Like,
for sure.
they
For
totally
sure.
understand that we're making these for the people that want to see them, not for
Yeah. Not for
our
your ego.
own artistic,
Right.
thing. But like, the other thing too is I think a problem with the X-Men franchise is they were at that point where it was like still that Michael Keaton thing where they're like, well, I don't want to be Cyclops forever, so I need to branch out. And
Right.
now it's like, nah, dude, you want to lock that shit down because that means like a
Right.
ton of like, sure. like we know Chris Evans might be on his way out and Chris Hemsworth might be on his way out, but they locked in for a good amount of movies, and they probably would, like, if they didn't want to, they wouldn't have to do shit for the rest of their lives.
No, they
Well,
wouldn't.
that's
It's
kind of
like
the
Robert
problem with
Downey.
the X movies. How many did we miss out on because they had to sort of reboot after X3?
Yeah, like what's his Master or Mathis? What's his name? Fuck. The guy who plays Cyclops.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Marsden.
James Marsden, because he backed out, and then Famke Jensen
Yes, she
backed
backed
out.
out.
So it was like you were left with your two big. So it's like you kill Cyclops off immediately because he
Right.
wasn't even around for filming,
Right.
and then
Well, let's be
just
honest.
everything else
Would you
kinda
want to work with
falls.
Brett Ratner? No.
No.
I don't think anybody wants to work with him. I mean that's fair. That's a fair point.
But I mean,
Yeah.
if they like you guys had said, if they had made quality movies, and then you have you have more X-Men than Avengers, or mutants than Avengers, I guess I should say. So you don't
Right.
necessarily have to focus on those 5 or 6. Branch out, do other things. But because they made a crappy movie that included so many mutants, well, let's wait.
Well, it's
10
like
years.
I remember looking at the credits of X3, and like there were some good points of X3. Like Kelsey Grammer's Beast, I thought was fucking
Oh yeah, awesome.
perfect. Like that was straight out of the animated series. Like that's exactly who you wanted to see as Beast. But then like that dude that was throwing spikes out of his arms, I was like, oh, it's got to be Spikes. You check the credits, it's like, or Spike. Check the credits, and it's like, nope, Omega Red. I'm like, what the fuck are you?
Yeah.
No,
that's not Omega Red. No.
and even like the Fox TV show now, it's like we cast Blink, dude. What the fuck? Like, okay, you're gonna have Blink and Morph. There you go, real X-Men. Like, no, give me fucking
Yeah. Give me
There's a
Cannonball.
hun-
Give me Sunspot.
right. There's 100 other small ones you could use for shit.
Yeah, dude. I mean, the one thing I am, we're kind of getting out a little bit off subject, but like the casting for Inhumans actually looks pretty fucking good, man.
Oh, whoever they cast as Black Ball is a really
I
thought that was perfect.
Yeah, perfect Black Bolt, perfect Medusa. I haven't seen any of the other ones.
We're so bad at this. That one guy's name, who was the guy? Fuck, what's his name?
The guy.
Well, Black Bolt, I saw that one. He's on Hell on Wheels. That was a great show.
Oh, my dad fucking loves that show. I haven't watched it yet.
It's good.
Well,
I was surprised.
it's something about, okay, so like we talk about a lot of storytelling being the issue, but then you have, or being the reason there's a good sequel. But then you have something like John Wick 2, where I don't think John Wick 2 is going to be story heavy. I think the reason people are going to lose their minds over it is the action.
Yeah, for sure. He's just killing a bunch of people.
I mean, that's why everyone liked John Wick 1. Like, he killed, like, realistically, the story's about a dude who lost his dog. That could have been a terrible movie, and instead they
totally made it into a shoot 'em up, and that was awesome. I mean, okay, so when it comes to like something like John Wick 2, we know what we're getting. It's a straight popcorn movie, right? You're sitting there and you're gonna watch shit blow up. You're not looking for any character development. You're not looking for, a love story or anything like that. I'm going to go see John Wick 2 because I want to see him go fuck shit up. Plain and simple. And I want to see it.
Exactly.
It's like, dude loves his pit bull. He's gonna go fuck shit up. I'm in, and that's the end of the movie for me. Whereas, like, you got like the Last Jedi that's coming up, and the Last Jedi is a sequel that is obviously warranted, but at the same time, it's like we want to see that development. We're not going to see, bad acting in an X-wing fighter. We want to see the character development. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I guess it may just depend on how deep they get you in the first movie. Like, maybe looking at the first movie and why it was good, and then rather than just shitting out a sequel, taking your time and figuring out what worked and doing it again.
well, see, that's the thing, though, with studios, that they have to feel like, oh, we have to do a trilogy for this movie. No matter what, we have to do a trilogy for this movie.
Yeah.
Even though, as shitty as it may be, like Nut Job 2. You said Nut Job 2 was one of the sequels, right?
Yes. Nutty by Nature.
Nutty by Nature.
Nutty by Nature.
So I've got kids, so I've seen Nutjob a number of times, and there's absolutely no god awful reason why there should be a sequel outside of just absolute personal greed on the end of
Oh, you mean like why there's another Smurfs movie coming out?
exactly.
I believe that one completes the trilogy, though, Brandon.
Oh, well, thank God. No, aren't there? Hasn't there been like 4? Or am I thinking of the Chipmunks movies where there's like 98 of them already?
That's the Chipmunks movie.
Because they created a new trilogy. They completed the trilogy, and now they're doing a new one.
Oh, fuck off. Like, enough of this.
Clearly, Jason Lee needs more money.
Right. Clearly, with his IHOP voiceovers, he's fine.
You are making that IHOP money, dude.
Yeah, you're making IHOP money, bro. Just relax.
But that's also what's funny. They made this one cracks me up. They made a sequel to Amityville, and I'm not even talking about the old original ones. They made a sequel to the Ryan Reynolds Amityville. It's like, who was asking for that?
Yeah, who was asking for that?
Question: who was asking for that?
Hey, if you guys are listening out there in Nerdland, let us know who the fuck was asking for that.
Please tell me if you were like, I've been wanting to know what happens after the quote unquote true story.
Well, now I just looked it up. Holy cow! It's got Jennifer Jason Lee. Well, I'm not saying he's the biggest name, but she's a name, and Kurtwood Smith.
Here's the thing. Kurtwood Smith is great, but if he's a dad, all I'm going to hear him say is jackass. Like, it's never going to be anything else. Like,
so you're going to go see it.
I'll see it, but I just hope there's like, put down that axe, you jackass.
Exactly. I can just see him at the table where the ghost comes into the kitchen. Jackass. And he just goes away, sinks his head, and walks out the kitchen.
They do like the middle camera thing like they did on the 70s.
Exactly. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think it falls back to the good storytelling, the viewer wanting to be personally invested. That's what makes a good sequel. Bad sequels, obviously, are when they're just out for the money. You know, when you can clearly tell.
X3, Spider-Man 3.
Oh God, Spider-Man 3. Oh Jesus!
But that was also him being like, "I want to do this," and they're like, "You got to do 2 villains," and he was just like, "I don't give a fuck anymore."
Yeah, Spider-Man 3 was such a horrible,
like just bad all around, beginning to end. That was awful.
Yeah, it would have been all right with Harry Osborn. Cool. Venom by itself. Cool.
There were 2. Rewatching that movie, there's 2 parts that are really fucking weird to me, man. One is Jazz Lounge Peter Parker.
Oh
yeah.
Emo Jazz Lounge, and then like the weird like let's make an omelet with Mary Jane and Harry.
Oh yeah, yeah. I thought I'll rank the emo dancing down the street, staying alive, Peter Parker higher than the omelet piece, but yeah, they were like
both were weird.
Both were like really, really weird, and like, I'm trying to think of another really terrible sequel that I've seen. What's a good, really good?
I will say that I think The Matrix is one of the most genius movies ever made, with 2 of the worst sequels I've ever seen. And Patrick, I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but I they're almost unwatchable to me.
Yeah, I will disagree with you on that one. Yes, they're a little bit on the unwatchable side for somebody who's like, got a stick up their ass. I don't know.
Compared to the original, the genius of the first one, those second 2 are just not even close.
I will say those movies are fun to rewatch, but they do not hold up at all to me.
No, they're fun to watch. I think with the sequels to the Matrix, one I like them just visually. I think they're absolutely stunning. I love that. The story was kind of light in the ass, I'll admit, but the visuals on the Matrix sequels were just absolutely, another world to me. It was just absolutely amazing to me. Now, you want to talk about bad sequels? Let's talk about the 80s, 90s Batmans. Those yes, we can all agree on those being
Now, do you start at Batman Returns or do you start at Batman Forever?
I start after anything after Keaton is horrible.
Okay, because I did enjoy Batman Returns for what it was.
Yeah, for what it was, and I was explaining this to my son was about the original Batman, the Michael Keaton '89 Batman, and obviously Batman Returns afterwards. I was like, okay, these are good. These were good at the time. At that time, because you gotta understand, like kids are thinking like, oh, comic book movies are a regular thing. I'm like, no, actually they weren't. Like we had Batman in
There was a lot of
1989.
space in between that shit. Like,
Right. There was a huge amount of space in between that shit. But then you get into the whole Warner Brothers getting a little too greedy, and this should have been a key indicator for everyone in the DC universe not to fuck with Warner Brothers. But they kept going. You got nipple Batman. You got freaking Arnold Schwarzenegger. You've got all these terrible Batmans. Val Kilmer was the only one out of all of them after Keaton that I was like, all right, I'm halfway there.
rewatching it, I absolutely agree with you. Like, he wasn't as because I think it got to a point growing up where you're just like, those movies are bad. But I rewatched Forever, and it's like, well, there were some hokey parts to it, but I think Kilmer
Right.
did a good job.
I thought Kilmer and Carey, you know, did a good job. I mean,
Oh yeah,
as Edward Enigma. I mean, I can actually see Jim Carrey playing a Riddler character now.
it was good. I do think it was good for what it was, but I like the kind of like calmer, more like maniacal
Right.
Riddler.
But that's what I'm saying. Like if you took Jim Carrey's personality now,
Now? Oh,
now
100%. 100% you could do that.
he would be
But
absolutely terrifying.
That's the
But
irony back then, and Patrick, you might remember this, is Warner Brothers did not like the Tim Burton version. And even though he
hmm
and Michael Keaton were on board for a third one, they did not
right,
want that. So they brought on Joel Schumacher to make the goofy, bright
Neon,
version.
neon, all that shit.
So that's what they wanted. And it was like, oh my God, you guys didn't listen to the fans at all.
right,
He was
because
like, "Listen, I know Tim Burton had this beautiful, like gothic looking Gotham, but what if we did that with a blacklight poster?
and some neon everywhere.
Like, just
Which is even funnier
bullshit."
because that's where Tim Burton got pushed over to potentially do the Superman. It's like, wait a minute. That makes even
Right.
less sense.
I don't think a lot. I think it was a confusing time back then. Well, you got to
Well,
figure too, like Jim Carrey, like he was, even if he could, like his personality now, back then he was coming off of Ace Ventura and The Mask and all this other
right,
shit.
right,
So if he
right.
were to play like a little more stoic than that, everyone would have been like, how come he's not talking with his butt?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, at the time, like I said, for what it was, that was it. I mean, the Jim Carrey then and Jim Carrey now, I think Jim Carrey now would play an absolutely scary Riddler now.
I
Um,
absolutely agree with you.
but I mean, if you keep going to what was the one after Forever? That was George Clooney one, right?
That was Batman and Robin.
Batman and Robin. So that one was absolutely ridiculous, and
That
it
was
just kept.
bad all around.
Well, do you remember that
That
was our
was.
introduction to Bane, the worst Bane ever?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Also,
that's right.
Batman had a fucking credit card with Batman's name on it, as if
Oh
Batman
yeah, that's
got fucking approved for a
right.
American Express card.
Yep, there was a Bat Bank, and he got
And
his Bat
then,
Bank card.
no offense, but even as a kid, like watching the cartoons and reading the comics, it's like, oh man, like Poison Ivy's supposed to be like hot as fuck.
Yeah,
And I
exactly. It's
remember
supposed
as
to
a
be
kid,
hot.
I was like, I'm not into this one.
No, you're like no, no.
Amazing
And
actress. I don't think she's ugly, but I just didn't think it was like,
it wasn't. It wasn't that. No.
it wasn't what I had hoped to see.
Yeah. See, so I mean, you have your again. That's just like corporate greed, and you know, bad sequels just don't follow the storyline. That's one way you can always tell. You know, bad sequels are. I mean, the only thing that's been rated as a bad sequel that I think was great sequel, I would say it's like Tron. I'd like Tron Legacy,
I love Tron Legacy.
right? I
I'm
mean,
so upset that didn't get, like, especially what they set up for a
mhm.
third one with that.
Yeah,
Now, here's another part of it. You have bad sequels. How do you not get a sequel off of a good first movie? See The A-Team.
yes, that was just on recently too. So yes,
Yeah.
I will agree with you on.
Especially about the ridiculousness of, like, 4 Alvin movies and a third Smurfs movie and a fucking Nut Job 2.
Well, that's the sad part. 18 did not do well in theaters because it
Did
came
Nut
out.
Job do well?
Well, here's the reason. It came out the same weekend as the rebooted Karate Kid.
Did that do
Oh,
well?
That did really well, and it was supposed to get a sequel. I don't know what happened to it, but it was supposed to get a sequel.
Jaden Smith was like, nah, man, I'm fucking too
I'm
deep.
wearing dresses.
Oh, hey, also, did we mention Jumanji and Rings? Because those are
I didn't
sequels as
do,
well.
I didn't do remakes. I didn't do remakes like Jumanji.
No,
but
Jumanji is a sequel.
oh, is
The
it? I
sequel.
did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
And Rings is a continuation of the Ring movies.
Yeah,
That's right.
Jumanji. I think the Rock is doing that one, right?
Hell yeah. The Rock and Jack Black.
Jack Black and
I can
Kevin.
take a note and say that holy cow, The Rock is amazing. Like
He's
when he was
great
on
at everything.
Oscars, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I finally saw Moana and him singing. Awesome, dude is awesome.
He's the best. He's the people's champ.
Yeah.
For sure.
And always will be.
We
Speaking
can't-
of the Oscars, I know we're kind of running out of time, but well, actually, let's finish up the sequel shit.
Yeah.
I guess the sequel to a good, or the secret to a good sequel, is Don't Get Greedy.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
Nerdlocker, hey Hollywood, Nerdlocker's got your answers.
Yeah.
I'll
Come
give
call
you
us
that
up.
one for free.
We can help you out with that. Don't get greedy.
But
just-
for real,
oh.
Hollywood, find Jim and talk to him about Deadpool and redoing the X-Men shit, because Jim's got that on lock.
Yeah, and one more bad sequel. The sequel to 300.
Oh boy, that was awful.
I pushed that one out of my mind. I forgot about that. It was so bad.
I literally, until you just said that, totally forgot it existed. So I'm glad we're on the same page.
Because most times sequels fail because they're rushed out and not given enough time to develop. That there was a large time frame between those two movies.
That
So why
just sucked.
Why
That
couldn't they
just
figure it out? That's so weird.
Dumb and Dumber or Dumb and Dumber 2, whatever the fuck it was. I heard that wasn't.
that was pretty bad too.
But I think that's we're hitting that nostalgia wave, and it's like, no, just stop. Like,
No, yeah, exactly. Just call it.
I actually thought are you talking about the Jeff Daniels,
yeah,
Jim Carrey,
Yeah.
that one or the original?
no, the Jeff Daniels Jim Carrey one.
I thought it was funny. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still funny.
See, there you go.
Like, yeah, I mean, there's I guess the nostalgia factor with some of it, but
Nah, I'm
Yeah,
okay
we're
with.
getting Train Spotting 2. We're getting.
No, so
is that
Trainspotting 2,
necessary?
I don't know because
It
part
looks
of
good.
part of me is saying yeah because I've always wondered what happened to those guys after the movie, like when they became adults. Is your
Yeah.
life still that fucked up?
Like, I think the sad answer is going to be yes.
Did they choose
And-
life?
Like, it's just like, nah, dude, everything sucks. It'd almost be like coming soon from Christopher Nolan, Inception 2, and it's like, no, fuck, let me ponder.
What's cool about
Right.
Train Spotting 2 is they brought everybody back.
Yeah,
Where a lot of times the original director will leave because they know I'm not going to make another crappy movie, and maybe they'll pay a chunk like Jaws 2. They paid Roy Scheider a ton of money to come back and do that thing, but it's going to suck. This one they brought everybody back and they're just back to what they were doing.
Well, I mean, we got a long year of seeing what else is going on with some of our favorite characters, I guess.
yeah. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. I know I mentioned the Oscars, but I just wanted to laugh at that guy who came in off the bus and everybody loved, only to find out he's like a convicted rapist. Did you watch the Oscars?
Yeah, I watched the Oscars.
Do you remember the guys they brought in off the
Oh,
bus?
yeah.
That dude in the front was
Oh,
released from prison like 4 days earlier for attempted rape. Like he was in jail for like 25 years.
Wow.
Right? He was adorable. You were like, oh, look at him. He doesn't even realize what's going on. And then Jimmy Kimmel was going to have him on, and someone ran a background check, and they were like, hey, this is a felon.
Yeah.
And a sex offender.
In close proximity to...
And he kissed all the actresses' hands.
Oh.
And Denzel Washington gave him a hug. Awkward.
Yeah. Another Ken Bone.
Another Ken Bone. Ken Bone wasn't a rapist. He just, like, said some shit on Reddit.
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, not the most awkward moment of the night.
Still not the most awkward moment of the night.
I know. How fucked up did that night have to be in order for that not to be the most awkward?
Right? That was fucking ridiculous. Like, I left my dad's house. I was like, all right, cool. They announced the winner, and I bounced. And then he called me, and he's like, they fucked up.
Yeah.
That was fucking great.
Well, my wife was sitting there like, oh, yeah, they announced the actor. And then I'm like, I start changing it, and then I start seeing the stage managers go back and forth. I'm like, oh, shit, what happened? What? I was like, oh, somebody got fired tonight.
Oh, yeah, lost the job.
Lost the job he's had for a long time.
Seen, like the reverse shots? They're just still photography, not video. But like Jimmy Kimmel's in the audience getting set up to do his final bit, sitting next to Matt Damon.
Mm-hmm.
And like I didn't even know that was supposed to be a thing, because the next thing we know, he's on stage trying to fix up the huge error, and it's like, wow.
The Matt Damon shit was great, though.
Oh, that was hilarious.
When he's playing him off, when he's presenting, that was amazing.
That was awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast. Make sure to check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and nerdlocker.com. You guys got anything else?
No, if you guys can think of any, if anybody can think of any better or worse sequels, please feel free to drop them on below the post on our Facebook, and we'll talk about them maybe on the next one.
All right, guys. Sounds good. Thanks for listening, and until next time, you guys have a nerdy week.